time to answer another question from our questions and answers channel in Discord. And this question is, can I use GraphQL with Clutch? And they sent me Gato GraphQL. Apparently there's an AppSumo going on there. And yeah, so I told them, yeah, we'll post a video. So we're just going to get to it. And there's two main choices for GraphQL. One is going to be WP GraphQL, and the other one's going to be Gato GraphQL. And you might even be asking, what is GraphQL? By default, WordPress has a REST API built in. And the REST API does fetches for objects in the WordPress backend, and it gets one object at a time, whereas GraphQL allows you to get a little bit more granular and almost run a query-like syntax to get back a specific object in a specific shape. So it can have some benefits if you want to do more with crafting queries and filtering them in certain ways. And it also provides you an interface to do so. So if you use the built-in Clutch data fetcher, you don't deal with queries at all. You just pick from a data menu and pick what you need. But if you want to have this type of granular control and you want to use GraphQL, well, let's go do it. Let's go try this out. All right, so I just created a little project here with a little GraphQL logo in it. And we're going to create a new board. And this is going to be our playground where we're going to actually connect things up. And so I've just released an update here recently to the Clutch Elements package, which you should check and make sure that you're running at least version 2.22.0. If you're not, hit the update button. Once you confirm that you are running at least that version, you should see a new query that becomes available to you. And it's this GraphQL query. And if we actually use this query on our data, it will throw an error. That's expected. And that's because you don't have the URL for this to connect to. So it's going to complain about that. So let's go to our backend. And you're going to see I have Gato GraphQL and WP GraphQL both installed. And you can use either one. I'm just more used to WP GraphQL, so I'm going to use that for the video today. And you'll go to settings and you can set a different GraphQL endpoint here, but this is what we need. So we're going to hit copy link, come back here and paste it. And now it's going to talk about how it needs a query. So that's the next thing that we'll do. We'll come in here to graphical and we're going to come to the query composer and let's just craft a very simple query. So let's go to posts, and in post you have edges. And these are connections, and you have nodes. This is the data that actually exists here on the post. And then we'll go down and get something simple like title. So this should get all of our posts titles. And here they are. These two posts do exist. Here they are. All right, so that's a working query. We'll copy that. We'll paste it here. And you can now see that the data is in fact flowing in. And the way that data connectors work is if you don't stick anything inside of them, they just kind of output their data onto the screen, which can be a helpful diagnostic tool. But as soon as we kind of see that it's working, we start putting things inside the children slot, this diagnostic information will disappear. Another thing you can do is you can come down here and test, and you can see that we have another diagnostic tool here where you can play around with things. So either one will work. There's plenty of places where you can sort of play around with your data connectors to make sure that they're working well. So we have two posts flowing in. And so let's go ahead and wire these up. I'm going to hit the number 1 on my keyboard to give me a heading 1. And then I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to click wrap in loop. By default, a loop has 3 items just so that it loops. They're just 3 static items just to loop over. But I don't want to do that. I actually want to come here and come here and come to my data. And here are my nodes. And I'm going to click on this. And you can see that it goes to 2 because there are 2 that are coming in from that query. And now we'll go to our heading and we'll go to our text and we will bind this to our loop. And there's our 2 articles. So easy peasy. We've got 2 articles coming onto the screen. straight from the backend query that we defined. But we can go further with this. Let's make it to where we can make a page that will render the proper one through GraphQL. So to do that, let's copy our data and let's go to our site and let's make a new page. And we'll call this page, and we're not going to use the built-in connector anymore. We're going to make our own here. So we're going to call this post, and then we're going to do slug, just like this. And when we do this, it's going to say, do you want to give it a default slug and stuff? So let's go back to WordPress and go find a slug. I don't know. Here's a slug. Hello World 2. Okay, I got that. So we're going to make that our default. And now what we need to do is insert a data onto this screen. We don't need a loop anymore because it's just going to be for one post. So we'll just insert a heading 1. And let's go to our data. We'll add the query. Here it is. We know this whole song and dance, so we'll come back over here, go to our settings, copy the link, paste it into our URL. Now we're going to do the query differently. Let's go back to, go to this GraphQL. We're going to do a different query. Go to our query composer. All right, so we just created a new query here. I'm going to call this new query get post, and it has nothing in it. It's pretty much blank. And so we need to go down, and this time we don't want posts plural, we want posts singular, so we're trying to get 1. And when we do that, these new filter options show up, and we need the ID type. This is going to be how we're going to filter it. We want it to be by slug, because that's what we're going to stick in the URL and pass down here. And we could type in a slug, like we had one copied in a minute ago from over here. We got the slug. It was called Hello World 2. We'll just use this for testing. And we'll just type it in. Now what we need to do is go pull information from our post. So let's pull the title. That's what we need. If we do that, we're doing get post, where the post ID is Hello World 2 and the ID is type slug and the title. And there you have it. That's working. But we want to make it to where this is dynamic. We want to make it to where we can choose the ID on the fly. So all you have to do is click the $sign. Now what that does is it moves your hard-coded ID up into here, and that would set Hello World 2 to be the default value. I think we just want to go with an empty string for the default value. All right, let's take this query, which now has this $sign ID as a variable that's going to be passed in. And what will happen is we can pass ID in on the fly. So let's copy this. Let's go back to our data, and we're going to paste this query in. And I want to test it here. And it says GraphQL request must include at least one of the following parameters: query or query ID. I think that's just this thing wigging out. Boom. Okay. And so if we do that and we run that, sometimes this thing gets stuck. You have to just hit clear and then paste it in and then hit run. Okay, and now it matches. All right, so we're going to use this little tester to test this thing out. I'm going to go to set object. I'm going to go to property. I'm going to edit this. We're going to set this thing to ID. And remember the ID type we set to slug. Let's go get our other slug from here, from our posts. Goodbye, cruel world. Oh, this one's slug is hello world. That's confusing. I should go update this slug, but whatever. We'll see. Whoops. I obviously didn't copy it properly, but there's the slug. All right, so we see we have that test, and look, it's working. So that's what this does. This variables object, you hit edit, you add them, you make sure that this is correct, and you can put the string in here, and you can see that hello world, it's returning the other article. And we type in hello world -2, it gets the other one. So mind the fact that I should have renamed my slugs and whatever, but you can see that this is indeed working. So that's good, but let's go ahead and this is the tester. We would need to set it up here on the top. So let's go to our variables, set object, again, edit the property, ID. And what we want to do now is pull this from the params. I don't know if you remember earlier, we set this page up where we put slug here. And so now we can actually choose from that slug. And you can see that hello world 2 is being passed in here to the slug, which is being passed into the ID, which is being passed into GraphQL, which is filtering our page. Very cool, right? So let's go to the text on the page. And from our GraphQL, from our data, from our post, here's our title. And now if we go back and hit enter, goodbye cruel world. And if we go -2, hello world, it's all working. It's all connected. And just for fun, let's go create one more. Let's call this one and another one. And the slug will be and another one. So let's publish that. Yeah, whatever, publish. Let's go. And refresh and go to here and copy that in my clipboard this time. And we'll go here and paste. Why doesn't, when you hit copy the slug, it gets the whole dang thing. We don't want that. All right, here we go. And another one. And it works. All right, so to recap what we have done, we have a page. The page, rather than setting a static path, you put bracket slug, and that's going to take this section, which is this, and it's going to put it in a variable called slug that's accessible on your page. You're also going to set a default, which just helps because if you can see we're on and another one, if I leave and then I come back, it'll reset to the default. That's just a convenience feature. Okay. Now that slug, which is defined here, is going into our data. We have a query, which we wrote using the graphical editor that receives ID as a variable. It passes it in to filter our posts. And then we have the variable coming in dynamically. And here we have the variable bound to the slug that's coming from here. So it goes page with the variable, data connector, query on the data connector with variables, pass the page slug in as the variable parameter so that it's dynamic. And now your pages are powered dynamically through the GraphQL connector. And with that, you could pretty much do anything that you want. It's pretty powerful. A lot you can do here, but that's going to wrap us up for today. The question was, can I use GraphQL with Clutch? The answer is yes. Not only can you use GraphQL with Clutch, you can set up dynamic pages, dynamic routing. You can really do anything once you figure this out. And it's quite powerful. If you have more questions, come into our Discord channel, come into the Q&A and ask, and I'm happy to get them answered. And we'll get them all posted into the Q&A playlist on our YouTube channel.